Starting with Sarah, I'm curious if we could all spend a couple of minutes just sharing a little bit about what you consider writing trauma.
So writing about trauma, at least for me, is anything that I write about that makes me feel like hypervigilant. It makes my heart race. It makes me nervous. It makes me sad and angry. I mean, anything that evokes that level of emotions and intensity. For me, I know that I'm digging deep into some trauma. And so for me, it's about digging deep, and finding your truth.
Yeah, Gar, you want to go? What about you?
Yeah, to piggyback on what Sarah does, it is about digging deep. And I know when I'm getting to a traumatic scene in something that I'm writing is because I want to avoid writing it and want to avoid having to re-edit it because it means having to relive it. I am of the mind that if you are writing truth and you are a Black person in the United States, then that automatically means that you are writing trauma. Because there's really not any aspect of being Black in the US in the 21st century that does not involve some level of trauma, whether you call it a microaggression or whether you call it something greater or larger than that. There are aspects of living that causes you to have to relive pain. And I'm attracted to this because I'm attracted to exploring all aspects of the Black experience in my writing. So it is about digging deep, and it's also about trying to stay focused so that you can relate the story properly.
And Emily, what about you?
Yeah, and then quick, it looks like in the chat, Cass, do you want to repeat the question again?
Sure. I'm curious, Emily, if you would share with us what you consider to be, writing trauma.
Yeah. So what I consider writing trauma, or my view of writing trauma, is probably trying to articulate, horror or painful, dangerous experiences, personal experiences that have been psychologically or emotionally damaging, trying to articulate those experiences in a way that other people who have had that experience can relate to and find some kind of connection to, or trying to articulate those experiences in a way that people who haven't had that experience can sort of try to foster some empathy around those topics. Also for me, writing trauma is about making art out of pain and turning pain and horror into an aesthetic object. To me, that's an important part of catharsis. And then, finally, of course, is what I think of as catharsis, or because I'm extremely melodramatic and intense, what I might call more like exorcism. There's, that's a more kind of personal, my personal kind of why I write trauma. Thanks.
That's intense. RJ, what about you?
So why I write is sometimes to show readers that they're not alone, and hopefully they might get the strength to deal with some situations. The way I like, sometimes I do feel like I haven't suffered trauma. I haven't suffered, these big things, but then I realize that's also like a defense mechanism that says that those things that I did go through are not technically traumatic because I have made them not traumatic. So I found that as I was writing my novels, I'm writing about all these things that most people would consider traumatic, but that I have now put as just a part of my, of my life. So I'm writing these things, and they're helping me, and they're helping others. So I continued to write that. I think we'll probably talk later about the effects of that, but for me, part of it is also when I write a novel or when I write a piece to reach other people, that I craft a message in such a way that it hopefully helps. And so I kind of distinguish that from journaling, which might be helping me. So just the difference in when you're writing to reach others and when you're writing for yourself.